Welcome to Business and Finance, the community of those who want to become a millionaire. In today's video we will talk about Bill Gates. Birth and education. Bill Gates, Seattle, October 28, 1955, is an American entrepreneur, programmer, computer scientist, and philanthropist. He is best known as the principal founder of Microsoft Corporation. Born into a family of English, German, Irish, Swiss and Scottish descent, his father William H. Gates II, 1925 to 2020, was a well-known lawyer, while his mother Mary Maxwell, 1929 to 1994, sat on the board of First Interstate Bank System. Bill was a voracious reader as a child and spent hours studying the encyclopedia. Around the age of 12, Bill's parents began to worry about his behavior. He was fine in school, but at times he seemed bored and withdrawn. Although they had faith in public education, when Bill turned 13 they enrolled him at Seattle's exclusive Lakeside School. Bill began to excel in every field, especially in math and science. In 1968, the year he enrolled in the prestigious Lakeside private school, Gates first had access to a computer, a DEC PDP-10 owned by the Computer Center Corporation. The school had rented a number of hours of use for the purpose of detecting and fixing bugs. Gates, fellow student Paul Allen, and other students, some of whom would later become employees of Microsoft, became inseparable from the computer. They also began to have problems with school, arriving late, or with homework not done, skipping school to stay in the computer room instead. It seems that they used up all the hours available to the school in a few weeks. Later in 1972 Bill and Paul founded Trafo Data, which designed a computer to measure road traffic. They made $20,000. Trafo Data lasted until the end of Bill's studies. The two also worked together to computerize the school's management system, for $4,200. In the final years of school, they received an offer from TRW, U.S. engineering company. Gates enrolled at Harvard University in the fall of 1973, initially eager to pursue a career in law, but his freshman year spent more in the computer lab than in the classroom was a forerunner of what would be his future. Microsoft. Much to his parents' chagrin, after 2 years Gates dropped out of college to enter the business world through the creation of Microsoft, with business partner Paul Allen. Despite a shaky start, Microsoft grossed about $2.5 million in 1979 and, at the age of 23, Gates ranks as head of the company. Thanks to his skills in software development and his keen business acumen, he successfully leads the company. Gates personally reviewed every line of code sent by Microsoft and rewrote the code when he felt it was necessary. Following the development of software for IBM, between 1979 and 1981 the growth of Microsoft assumes an exponential dimension. Headcount increases from 25 to 128 employees and revenue grows from $2.5 million to $16 million. Gates was president and chief executive officer, Allen the executive vice president. As the computer industry began to grow with companies like Apple, Intel and IBM developing hardware and components, Gates was busy promoting Microsoft's software. He often took his mother with him, a highly respected woman with a wide network of acquaintances due to her belonging to several boards of directors, including that of IBM. It is through Mary that Bill Gates meets the CEO of IBM. In November 1980, IBM was looking for software capable of handling its next personal computer, and thus approaches Microsoft. Legend has it that when he first met Bill Gates, an IBM employee mistook him for an assistant and asked him to bring him a coffee. Gates looked very young, but he managed to impress IBM, convincing the top management of his and Microsoft's ability to meet their needs. The only problem was that Microsoft had not yet developed the base operating system to mount on new IBM computers. Gates decides to buy an operating system that was developed for computers similar to IBM's latest PC model. He thus makes an agreement with the software developer that made Microsoft the exclusive licensed agent and later the sole owner of the software, but without telling him about the deal with IBM. In hiring, Gates preferred intelligent people with no previous work experience. In 1981, the year in which Microsoft licensed the MS-DOS operating system to IBM, a historic photo was taken in which Bill Gates and Paul Allen are surrounded by the first PCs of the time, basically derived from the merger of a CRT monitor and keyboard. In March 1986, Bill Gates put his Microsoft on the stock exchange. Through a $21 share IPO, the entrepreneur became a millionaire in an instant at the age of 31. Over time, Microsoft shares have grown in value and number. It was in 1987 that Bill Gates became a billionaire, when the stock touched $90.75. Since then, Gates has been at the top, or at least on the podium, in the annual Forbes ranking of the 400 richest people in America. In 1999, with stock prices at an all-time high, Gates' wealth just exceeded $101 billion. Today his fortune is estimated at $107 billion. Rivalry: Gates and Jobs. The rivalry between Gates and Jobs is legend, but Microsoft and Apple shared a lot in terms of innovation in their early days. In 1981, Apple, led by Steve Jobs at the time, asked Microsoft to develop software for Macintosh computers. In November 1985, Bill Gates and Microsoft launched Windows. Visually, the Windows system looked very similar to the Macintosh system that Apple Computer Corporation had introduced nearly 2 years earlier. Apple previously gave Microsoft full access to its technology, while it was working on making Microsoft products compatible with Apple computers. Gates had suggested that Apple license their software, but they ignored the advice, being more interested in selling computers. Once again, Gates takes full advantage of the situation and creates software that is surprisingly similar to that of the Macintosh. Apple threatens to sue him, and Microsoft reacts by saying it would delay the delivery of its Microsoft-compatible software for Macintosh users. In the end, Microsoft prevails in court because it can prove that, despite the similarities in the functioning of the two software, each function was distinctly different. Gates and Melinda Foundation. In January 1994, Gates married Melinda French, a sales executive at his company, in Lanai, Hawaii, with whom he had 3 children, Jennifer Catherine, April 26, 1996, Rory John, May 23, 1999, and Phoebe Adele, September 14, 2002. The family lives in a house overlooking Lake Washington in the Medina. The value of the house was estimated at $125 million in 2006. Together with his wife, in 2000 Gates founded the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a private humanitarian organization that deals with fighting certain diseases such as AIDS, especially in the Third World. During a keynote given at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, which was held from 23 to January 27, 2008, Gates calls for the beginning of a new era of creative capitalism. By creative capitalism, Gates means a system in which the technological advances made by companies are not exploited simply for the logic of profit, but also to bring development and well-being especially where it is most needed, i.e. in the poorest areas of the world. In the May 11, 2020 episode of Report, Bill Gates' philanthropic activity was investigated, showing a series of controversies. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation appears to be the second largest funder of the WHO after the USA. A successful entrepreneur, Bill Gates' intelligence enabled him to be able to understand all sides of software product development and business strategy. Despite Microsoft's success, Bill Gates has never felt totally arrived. Gates has always looked over his shoulder to control the competition, established a clear path to follow, and maintained a competitive spirit by expecting everyone within the company to have the same approach. Gates' assistant revealed that she went to work early and found someone sleeping under a desk. She thought about calling security or the police, only to realize it was Gates himself. His confrontational management style became legend. He challenged employees and their ideas to keep the creative process going. What can you do now? Simple: subscribe to the channel to not miss new updates. Write us in the comments that other videos you would like to see. Choose one of the methods we have listed for you, arm yourself with motivation, and get started.